Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Classified Captures. Brace yourselves for a spine-tingling odyssey that will send shivers down your spine. Without wasting much time, let's jump right into it. To kick off today's compilation, we visit Cannock Chase, where there was an entire section of the woods dedicated to dolls which hang on trees. Yes, the footage you're seeing is no movie set or scene. It's an actual place somewhere in Cannock Chase. How the dolls got there, no one knows exactly. According to reports, the dolls showed up one day displayed in an eerie fashion. Sometime later, a Ouija board was spotted in the same place with no explanation. Naturally, all who saw it were scared, and the news spread of the unnatural dolls spreading like wildfire. It was even uploaded online, which led to many speculations. Some believed the woodland area had been cursed, others believe a cult was responsible, and many others thought the place had been used for a ritual. After a year, no one went near the dolls for fear of dropping dead or worse. The rumors escalated and became so unbearable that a police officer got rid of all the dolls on Ouija board one day. That was the last anyone heard of them. But we can't help but wonder, did the police meddle with the supernatural? And is he fine? I guess we may never know. Next, we have this very unusual trail cam capture of deer. Wondering what makes this capture unusual? Take a good look at the deer in the image. Do you see those claw marks? They look like they were inflicted by something really big and dangerous. But what could have done that? The truth is, no one knows, not even the one who uploaded the image online. He believes it could be a cougar or a bear, but I haven't known these creatures to let their prey go, especially once they'd captured it, unless by some stroke of luck. So tell us, what do you think happened to this deer? Would love to know your thoughts. Now let's step into the paranormal and mysterious. Take a look at this trail cam capture. Do you see the creature in the capture? It looks like some type of ape, doesn't it? But take a closer look. You'll realize its body proportions are definitely not the same as any known ape. What's more, there's something funny going on with its face. Despite the blurry nature of the footage, the uploader believes the creature is holding a baby close to its face. My team and I struggle to see that, but can you? If you can, please do share in the comments section. As remarkable as that is, that's not what makes this capture special. The image was taken in Florida, and the uploader believes it's a capture of none other than the skunk ape. For those unfamiliar with the skunk ape, think of it as a version of Bigfoot that lives in the swamps. With that said, what do you think? Could this really be a skunk ape, or is this whole thing merely an exaggeration? Share your thoughts with us. Before I say anything about this particular one, watch the footage.
1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see the thumb. There is a print right here that shouldn't be there.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you what this thing did.
You can pick it up barely right now.
That's a left-hand print.
That's the kitchen. So the interesting part about these windows, these were the only 2 windows in the entire home that you could see through the curtains. We changed those. She changed those curtains yesterday.
This thing was peeking in to see what y'all were doing.
That's the only window he could see.
It was peeking in to see what you were doing.
Yup, you heard what you heard. The man in the bluish shirt lives in the home you just saw. According to him, their time in the house was interrupted by a giant furry creature that appears to be looking into their home. The man in red came over to carry out some friendly neighborhood forensics and concluded that they indeed had been visited by a Bigfoot. He points to handprints on the window, which we can't see, but just imagine being in your home and seeing a giant ape-like creature staring into your room. I can't imagine what it would feel like. Some people in the comments section are convinced that the Bigfoot was only curious, while some thought it was only there because it was hungry and could smell something nice from the kitchen. Others, however, don't share that enthusiasm. They think he was there to plan his attack. It's hard for us to believe a Bigfoot would do that, though. It's out of its character. But what do you think about the whole thing? Were the men telling the truth or simply looking for fame? Share your thoughts with us. Still on the paranormal, take a look at this image capture. We know trail cams capture a lot of weird and interesting stuff, but what is that? The individual whose trail camera captured this image is unsure of what it is. Some individuals online told him it might be frost on the camera. I don't know much about that, but this looks like a cobweb of some sort. Some in the paranormal community, however, believe that his camera may have captured something paranormal. The challenge, however, is the fact that we can't tell what it captured. What do you think of his hypothesis, though? Could this merely be frost on the lens as suggested, or are we dealing with something paranormal here? Have you had such an experience, or can you explain what we're seeing? Please talk to us in the comments section, for our curiosity and insatiable search for answers that's consuming us. Yes, I'm exaggerating, but seriously, talk to us. Still on Bigfoot? Take a look at that. Looks like a Bigfoot, does it not? This image was apparently captured by a trail camera set up in the woods, and the uploader of the image believes he hit the paranormal motherlode. He believes he has finally captured the highest resolution of Bigfoot images to ever be caught on a trail camera. Taking a look at that image, we don't dispute that that looks like the back of a primate that's capable of standing on its 2 feet. It actually reminds me of the old Kong movies, although the picture is very detailed with the creature's fur et al. When you take a closer look at the edge of its fur that ties into the main image, it's unnaturally blurry, especially on the left side of its body. This makes me doubt the authenticity of the image, and I suspect that it might have been created using AI, but perhaps that's just me. What do you think? For our next clip, we travel back in time to 1994 for footage not many have seen. Take a look. Yep, that's a man in the woods alone with a Bigfoot. The exact location is near Deduct Spring in the Blue Mountain Range in Oregon. You can tell from his heavy breathing that the man's very anxious and perhaps even scared. His shaky hands make it hard to tell what he's scared of, but a few seconds into the footage and it becomes apparent. There's a giant a few meters away from him with a human-like gait, yet having an ape-like body. Its arms are unusually large and it walks as though it was very heavy. It looks like it could really cause some damage to the man if it wanted to, which explains his heavy breathing. But for some odd reason, the creature isn't interested in him. The man recording the footage believes it's a Bigfoot, and I'm tempted to say I do believe him. I mean, how else do we explain what we're seeing here? Bear in mind that this is 1994 and CGI and special effects were not as popular as they are today, unless, of course, that's a man in a suit. But that's least likely if you ask me. What do you think, though? Next, we have a trail cam capture of a creature that looks like a grasshopper, but it's the size of a man. Did you see it? In the first capture, we see its face, and in the second, we see the rest of its body. My team and I almost discarded the footage because we thought it was a regular grasshopper caught on a trail camera. After a second look, and we realized that the creature was actually the size of a man. I mean, take a look at the trees in the background. Do you see its size correlation with the creature? It's definitely the size of a man, if not bigger. We cross-checked our database of paranormal and otherworldly creatures and couldn't find anything remotely like this creature. Could it be a new creature that's yet to be documented, or are we simply looking at a computer-generated image? Share your thoughts with us. Speaking of creatures we have a hard time identifying, a subscriber of the channel sent this capture in. He believes it's a paranormal creature haunting his property. We've critically looked at the image for several days and can't seem to make out what it really is. A team member says he believes we're looking at a hog, but I personally don't see anything of interest or worry in the capture. Do you? Next, we have this odd-looking capture from a trail cam located deep in the woods. Did you see it? Does it look like a normal capture you'd expect from a trail cam? It's certainly not. The owner of the trail cam was surprised that the image came out like this on his trail cam, since he'd not added any effects to the image, and the device itself was not faulty in any way and captured high-definition images. A closer look at the tape, and you'll realize that it looks like a bear or some other type of canine. But bears don't turn camera images white. What then could be going on in the image? Are we dealing with a being from another dimension? Could it be an alien that ran some interference with the camera to delete footage it may have captured of itself, or is the uploader of the image simply lying? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. We'd love to hear them. Do you see that? Can you see how the creature stares directly and eerily at the camera? It's almost as though it knew it was being watched and wanted to let whoever on the camera to be aware of this fact. But you have got to wonder, is that really a gorilla, or are we dealing with a cryptid like a Bigfoot? Don't get me wrong, but when you take a closer look at the image, you'll realize that whatever it is, it's walking on its 2 feet and not necessarily on its knuckles like a gorilla would. I don't know about you, but if I owned this trail camera, I'd watch my back or avoid that part of the woods altogether. Next, we have footage we haven't had in a while on this channel, and by that, I mean footage of a child lost in the forest. Take a look. As you can see, there's a young child roaming the forest at night. The uploader of the footage insists that there are no settlements in this part of the wood where the camera that captured this was located. Due to this fact, he finds it hard to believe this footage exists and thinks we're dealing with a ghost or spirit. But are we now? It's hard to say, but I'm having one of those hunches that this footage isn't real. Although there's not much to go within the footage, if this image was captured in the woods, there should definitely be more foliage than we're seeing in the capture. Don't get me wrong, but it looks like this was captured in the city, or at least a developed area. I suspect that the pole to the boy's right might not necessarily be a tree or a shrub, but possibly a utility pole in a residential area. A part of me just feels like someone is looking for their 5 minutes of fame. But what do you think? Next, we have another trail cam footage taken from a remote woodland area. We've no idea what we're looking at. Perhaps you could help. Did you see it? Watch again. You see it, don't you? There's quick movement from the right side of the frame to the left. The camera's position is quite the distance from the moving object, but whatever it is, it's quite fast. We attempted zooming in to perhaps discover what the moving object is, and this is what we saw. You see it too, don't you? There's no being in it. It just looks like moving fog and smoke, but how's that even possible, especially at that speed? Could it be a paranormal creature? Could it be the result of zooming in the low-quality image? Or could the footage be edited? Share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear it. Next, we have this footage that was sent to us from another subscriber. He was very sure that his trail camera had captured a skinwalker, but instead of talking about it, perhaps I should let you see it. It's not always that you see a deer stand on its hind legs. Seeing the deer stand on its hind legs right in front of the camera made the individual who sent it in think it was a skinwalker playing with him. Based on my little knowledge of deer, however, I know that that's definitely not a skinwalker. Deer can stand on their hind legs when they need to reach food from higher heights, which is what I think is going on here. But I could be wrong. Of all the things a skinwalker could do in front of a trail camera, why would it stand on its hind legs? But those are just my thoughts. What do you think? Next, we have this rare footage from the wild. I mean, just have a look. That's a mama moose and its baby calf. If you know anything about the wild, you know night times are such dangerous times, and danger soon arrives from the right part of the frame. It moves quickly and goes after the calf. Mama Moose notices the shift in the atmosphere and went into a defensive stance, but even that was not enough to protect her young one. In an attempt to knock out the predator, she knocks out her young, and the wolves try to capitalize on it. She doesn't give up, however, and stands over her calf, kicking frantically. I can imagine what fear it felt knowing how helpless they were. As much as I'd love to tell you that they overcame and escaped the wolves, the truth is we don't know if they did. The whole thing ended off of camera, but knowing how relentless and persistent wolves can be, I don't think it ended well. Speaking of wild predators, take a look at this majestic and beautiful wildcat. Do you know what species of cat it is? Do you have an idea of what it's doing in the footage? Tell us in the comments section and add one rare fact about the creature. Start your comment with bonus footage so we easily identify it. The most accurate description with the rarest fact will win a feature in our next video. All the best. Remember the apparent peeping Bigfoot clip from earlier? Well, here's another one, only instead of hearing the people describe what happened, we actually see it happening. Have a look. Remarkable, isn't it? Based on the quality of the footage, however, it's hard to tell what we're dealing with. Some have suggested it could be a bear, but others in the paranormal community believe that we're actually dealing with a Bigfoot here. If you ask me, however, I have reservations. First of all, the creature's eyes are beady and small, which makes me doubt it's a Bigfoot. Secondly, I don't think this footage looks like the ones taken by trail cameras unless it's a normal camera. But if it is, how did their hands not shake while they recorded, and why didn't the creature take off? So many unanswered questions and red flags. Forgive me for playing the devil's advocate, but what do you think? Do you think the footage is real, or do you have reservations too? Tell us in the comments section. Next, we have footage that's apparently the result of a disturbance in the neighborhood. Residents of the neighborhood were unsettled by the continuous screams of an unidentified man, leaving them perplexed and concerned. If you have heard anyone scream, you know how uncomfortable that can be, which is no surprise that having the man screaming for hours made them call in the sheriff. The footage you are seeing now is apparently from his body cam. Strangely enough, as soon as the sheriff reaches the scene, an eerie silence descends upon the area. Being the police officer that he is, he searches the vicinity for anything out of the ordinary as he makes his way down the road. Using his flashlight, he initially finds nothing until he catches sight of a pale and ghostly figure with unnaturally elongated arms. This creature, or whatever it is, was initially sitting, but once exposed to the sheriff's light, it runs away and disappears from sight. Fortunately, though, the sheriff's body cam records the whole thing. Upon reviewing the footage, it becomes apparent that the entity captured is humanoid and likely a cryptid. Analyzing its skin and behavior, paranormal experts have posited that it could potentially be a creature known as the rake. Looking at the evidence in the footage, you can't blame them, but is the video truly real? A part of me thinks otherwise, but what do you think? Still on ghosts, take a look at this image that was sent in by a follower of this channel. She claims that this was captured on a trail cam she had set up in a remote area in the woods. She regularly checked the trail cam, which captured footage of the local wildlife in the area. To her surprise, however, her most recent capture had the image you see on your screen. And yes, that's a humanoid staring at the trail cam. Interestingly, while the rest of the image is sharp, the body of the humanoid appears blurry. This made her believe she was looking at a ghost or cryptid of some kind. After reviewing our records of paranormal beings and events, it's hard for us to accept that this is truly paranormal. Personally, a part of me believes that this is fabricated, but perhaps that's just me being skeptical. What do you think about it? For our next footage, we visit the Tejon Ranch in California. It's remarkable footage, isn't it? It's not every day you get to see a ferocious predator like the bear hunt in its full glory. See the speed and power. The piglet had no chance, and I won't be surprised if its parents fled for their lives as well. Knowing boars, however, that will be a rare occurrence as they'd fight to the death for their young. Either way, it's a sad end for the piglet, but that's the circle of life, I guess. If we know anything about rattlesnakes, it's that they are very dangerous, which is what makes what I'm about to show you more profound. Have a look. Did that make you jump? Believe me when I say that you're not the only one. This is yet another footage that's almost made me throw my phone away. But let's double back to the footage. Would you believe me if I told you that that snake is the diamondback rattlesnake, which is also known as the eastern diamondback rattlesnake? Just in case you didn't know, that's one of the most venomous species of snake in the entire United States, and the man recording the footage casually walked up to it. Thankfully, the snake didn't immediately go for the kill and chose to warn him. You know how much we love these wild captures, but if you ever have to put yourself in danger, don't ever do it. Stay clear of wild animals. They're not pets and won't hesitate to attack you to protect themselves. Stay safe out there. And with that, we end today's episode, and we'll see you in the next one.